Hello and welcome to the Diary of a Late Bloomer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to be digging into something that's deeply personal, incredibly urgent, and honestly, just fascinating. We're breaking down a uniquely structured personal manifesto from an author who is staring down a massive life milestone, turning 50. But look, this isn't about having some cliché midlife crisis. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a midlife awakening. It's a strategic blueprint for carving out the exact physical and mental space required to finally chase down a lifelong dream. The author actually calls this upcoming era the final prime, and the way they've organized this massive transition, well, it's something I think we can all take notes on. So let's get right into the mindset behind this whole transformation. Just listen to the raw urgency in this statement. Last run, last prime, last chance. I mean, it hits you right away with this intensely cinematic tone, doesn't it? The author is locked in on a very specific date on the calendar, May 19th, 2026. That is the exact day he turned 50 years old. And they view this upcoming decade not as a winding down period, no way, but as the ultimate final window to achieve their biggest goal, which is becoming a filmmaker and building a profitable studio production company. The stakes literally could not be higher for them. When you start viewing your time as a last chance, it completely flips your perspective on what you're willing to tolerate in your day-to-day life. To build that studio, a massive, ruthless clearing out has to happen. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, Entering the Final Prime, the Physical Purge. So before any actual filmmaking can even begin, the physical environment has to be totally transformed. You simply can't build a brand new life on top of the clutter of your old one, right? The author realized their physical surroundings really needed to reflect this new singular ambition. The mandate here is pure speed. Clear out the living room fast. And you might be wondering, why the living room? Well, they aren't just tidying up for guests. They're reclaiming the absolute largest space in their home to serve as the literal foundation for their dream. They're carving out a permanent footprint for a highly specific setup, an AI green screen, and a long-term working station. Basically, the living room is becoming the production studio. But to make room for the future, you gotta figure out what to do with the past. What's really interesting here is the sheer cold efficiency of how they sort things out. It's totally ruthless. On one side, we have trashed. The rule is simple. If an item is broken, if it doesn't work, or if it just absolutely cannot be sold, it goes straight into the trash. 0 second thoughts. But on the flip side, we have kept/sold. Anything with actual value is being strategically repurposed. The author is listing these usable goods on a secondary eBay account, which is brilliantly named the Indie Film Garage. Do you see the strategy here? They are literally liquidating their past clutter to financially fuel their future film dream. It is incredibly practical. But as we all know, not all clutter is just junk. Some of it carries some pretty heavy emotional weight. And that brings us to the absolute hardest part of any purge, doesn't it? Nostalgia. The author openly acknowledges having a ton of personal items tied to memories of friends, lovers, and family. Letting that stuff go is tough. So they came up with this highly structured ritual to release the emotional weight without actually losing the memory itself. It breaks down into 3 distinct steps. Step 1, put the item in a box, whether it's bound for the trash or the Indie Film Garage. Step 2, take a final picture of it. Step 3, if it has a date attached to it, document it and add it to a life log. This is just a profound way to process sentimentality. By photographing it, you preserve the memory digitally, which entirely frees you up to let go of the physical object that's hogging space in your new studio. So the crucial point is, we have to move from the physical to the mental. Part 2, quieting the digital noise, the mental purge. Because look, clearing physical space is really only half the battle. If your mind is a cluttered mess, an empty living room isn't going to help you make a movie. The author had this realization that they had a serious problem with getting distracted, specifically getting pulled away every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, some random distraction would derail their focus. If you're trying to run a profitable production studio, that simply won't fly. So to fix it, they committed to this staggering target, 80%. They are building a rigid, non-negotiable habit to block out distraction and external noise for 80% of their awake time. Think about how massive that is. For 80% of the day, their mind must be completely shielded from the outside world. This isn't just a weekend digital detox, it's a fortress of focus. It's an absolute survival necessity to protect their creative energy. So, what exactly are they trying so hard to block out? Well, the author identified some very specific sources of digital noise that derail their day. The main targets for this AD block are social media and fake political propaganda news from all sides. It's really important to look at how this is framed. The author isn't taking a political stance here at all. They are actively rejecting the noise from every side of the political spectrum. They've recognized that getting sucked into that endless loop of social media scrolling and political propaganda is purely a distraction. Blocking it entirely is just a neutral, necessary survival tactic. It's about regaining personal focus and getting their mind fully back on track for filmmaking. But we're all human, right? What happens when that focus breaks? When that 10-minute distraction itch inevitably creeps back in? How do they fix it? Well, they have a very specific behavioral interrupt ready to go. If they ever forget how to block out the noise, their immediate protocol is to listen to an audio track titled, "Talk to Yourself Like This and Your Life Will Change," Carl Jung. This is their psychological tool. It's their reset button. By anchoring themselves to the philosophies of Carl Jung, who, focused heavily on the subconscious and self-realization, the author literally snaps themselves out of the digital noise and pulls themselves back into their own mind. It's a brilliant, highly specific strategy for building self-discipline. And this brilliantly illustrates our next phase. Part 3. Building the Life Log, a Century of Memories. Okay, so now that the physical space is cleared out and the digital noise is completely silenced, what are they actually building? Remember earlier when we talked about taking pictures of those nostalgic items before giving them away? Where do all those pictures go? Well, they feed into something monumental. It's a 100-year timeline called the Whole Life Log Project. It begins in 1976, which is the year of their birth. The precise midpoint of this entire timeline is 2026, their 50th birthday, the dawn of their final prime. And it stretches all the way to 2076 and beyond, a full century of tracking. Every single photograph of an old memory, every date logged from a discarded item, serves to populate this massive project. It just goes to show that letting go of the physical items was never about erasing the past. It was about perfectly cataloging it so they can stride unburdened straight into their future. Bringing it all full circle, we return right back to the core catalyst driving this entire manifesto. I will be 50 years old, my last decades to build my dream. Every single thing we've explored today, ruthlessly trashing broken junk, liquidating assets on the indie film garage, taking those photos of nostalgia gifts, blocking out political propaganda from all sides, and listening to Carl Jung to fight off those 10-minute distractions, all of it is the ultimate prerequisite for this one single goal. They are completely redesigning their physical environment and their mental habits from the ground up to give themselves the absolute best possible chance to succeed as a filmmaker. Which leaves us with a truly powerful thought to chew on today. Whether you're turning 30, 50, or 70, we all have dreams that require space to grow. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you need to clear out to prepare for your own final prime? What physical clutter in your living room or mental clutter from your digital feeds is holding you back right now? I really hope this explainer has sparked some curiosity about your own habits and maybe inspired you to make a little room for your own ambitions. Thank you so much for hanging out and unpacking this fascinating material with me, and I can't wait to explore our next topic with you soon. Thanks for joining me on this milestone journey. If you enjoyed this, please follow, like, and subscribe to keep building with us. And if you want to support our channel, check out our rare, retired miniature village buildings and figurines at our shop.